Friends, my name is Debbie, and today we're going to be painting this beautiful building. This is from my recent visit to Portugal. This was our Airbnb, and I fell in love with this building, so I said I'm going to paint it. So let's jump in and get started. We're going to start off by getting our paper wet right where the building is. We're just applying clean water, and then we're going to go to yellow ochre, very light on the paint. I would say 80% water, 20% color, and we're just going all the way around. You can put some washi tape in case you're not very good with straight lines. That will help to keep your lines nice and straight. Then we're gonna go to the top and we're gonna start putting a gray color. I got this color by mixing ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, 50% and 50%, and lots of water. We're trying to get a very light color. Then for the bricks, we want to make sure that the yellow ochre is already completely dried, and we're gonna get a flat brush. We're gonna have different colors of brown, so I'm using burnt brown, Van Dyke brown, burnt sienna, yellow sienna, and yellow ochre. So we're just going with the brush. This is the easiest way to accomplish the bricks. We're just going with the brush and just making the sizes of the bricks. Remember to keep some space in between. We want to see the yellow ochre underneath. That's gonna make the bricks look like more natural and more realistic. So make sure you leave a little bit of space between your bricks. And we're gonna be mixing the bricks colors. So you're gonna get your yellow sienna, put it on the side, then you move to your burnt sienna to your next brick, and then you move to the darker brown, which is the Van Dyke brown. Then you move to the burnt brown, which is our darkest one, and the sienna, and just continue alternating the colors, and that's how you're gonna get a more organic look. Try to keep straight line if you can. Sometimes it's good to use washi tape because that keeps your line more straight, and if you have a good hand, just go for it. You don't have to put no tape at all. And we're just gonna do this, the whole building with the bricks. We're gonna go all the way down. I started on the bottom, but because I'm right-handed, I decided to go up and then work my way down. And just remember to alternate the colors. We don't want the same color brick right next to each other. You want light, medium, and dark. And for the side, you're gonna make a skinny one, so it looks like the brick is turning around the building. So we're gonna go all the way down. I put some washi tape to make sure I keep my lines. And then I brought the gray from the top. I brought it to the windows, the frame of the windows. And we're gonna also use this one for the front door. I'm just doing the top piece, and then we're just removing this part of the building that's supposed to be yellow ochre also, and this part has some bricks as well. So I'm gonna apply the yellow ochre. We're gonna let it dry, and then we're gonna put the bricks on top. Remember, we're going very light with the color, so use a lot of water, not too much paint. We're gonna let this dry. And for the frames, I used the same gray. I just added more water to make it more different value, lighter value. And for the windows, I just added a little bit more of the ultramarine blue, very light on the color, lots of water, and we just want a tint of the blue in our windows. And we're just making like a triangle side, and that's gonna give us the shade, like the sun is hidden on that area, so it's giving us the shadow. We're adding some gray for the step. And remember, if I'm going too fast, you can always pause the video and you can go back to it whenever you feel more comfortable. We're trying to have a good time, enjoy this painting, so this is stress-free. Just pause it, take your time, take a deep breath, go for a sandwich or snack, and then come back to paint. Again, for the shadow, we're just using a diagonal line. That's where the shadow would be. The other side is where the sign is in the window. We're doing the same for this area, for the door, and for the middle windows. And for this, you can use any brush that you have. You don't have to have a flat brush. You can use the ones you have at home, as well as the paint. You can use any kind of paint that you have at home. You don't have to buy nothing special. Student grade is fine, and if you have professional, it's even better. So for this part, I'm just using my marker, very thin marker, and I'm just making the lines that goes in the doors. I decided to use the marker instead of the paint because it's easier for me. These skinny lines, I don't want them to be, crooked or too much wiggle. So that's why I put the piece of paper and I use the marker. I also painted the light that's in the gray color, and I added the pipe on the side. Now I'm using white paint for the electric cable, and it's going all the way up to where the lamp is. And this is just white paint with some water, mostly paint than water. And I'm going as straight as possible, but sometimes your hand shakes a little bit, but that's okay. It's normal. So for now, we're gonna remove the washi tape. And as you can see, this gives us really nice straight lines. And I'm putting it on the other side so I can paint the other building. And for that one, I'm using the yellow ochre with just a touch of a red color. In this case, I'm using the scarlet and the mother red, but you can use any red that you have in your paint palette. And then I added the frame for the windows. It's the same color. I just waited for the first layer to be completely dried, and then I went back to the same color and added a little bit more paint to it. I'm making the shadow for the balcony, and it's just the same color. I'm going underneath. And then we will be adding the tile. So that was the yellow ochre with a little bit of mother red. Again, you can use any red that you have. You can add it to your yellow ochre, and that's gonna give you this nice peachy kind of color. And then I added the tiles with the same flat brush. And for the door, I used the same gray as the one on the right building. That was ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, 50 and 50. And I'm just putting some of the tiles in this area. I'm going as straight as possible. And remember, for tiles and bricks, you always want to leave some see-through in between. So I'm trying to leave a little bit of that yellow ochre to see through my tile. And I'm just going to the windows, adding the shadow on this part of the windows, the frame. And this is very simple. It's the same shadow color. And we're just going with the flat brush, which is the easiest way to apply this. You could do it with a round brush. You just have to be a little bit more careful. And I'm going to these windows down here, adding just the top piece. And remember to keep your angles. That's gonna give us the impression that the frame is going inside. It's not completely flat. It has some dimension. Same with this window over here. And you can make it as darker as you want. You just let the first layer dry, and then you can go back to the same color and apply it on top again. Or if you want a little bit darker, you can always add a little bit more paint to your mix. That's gonna give us a thicker consistency, so it's gonna make your color darker. Now we're going with the shadow on the side of the window. Remember, one side the sun is hitting the windows, so it's gonna have one side that is gonna have the shadow. In this case, I decided my shadow is gonna be on the right, so that's where I'm putting my shadow. I let it dry, and then I go back to the same color as I used for my wall, which it was the yellow ochre with a touch of the red. Very light on the color, lots of water, not too much paint, so it's a very light value. And this painting is called ink and wash, so that means we're using our marker for most of the drawing, and then we're just using the watercolor to fill in the space. It's one of my favorite ways to paint watercolor, because you already have your your drawing, and you're just going around adding the colors and adding the layers and adding your own personality to your paintings. So I'm using the same color to frame this door, and just going around, very simple. Again, the washi tape is the best friend for you to use to make straight lines, and have a piece of paper handy, so whenever you add too much paint, you can always remove it just by wiping off the excess. Now I'm doing the pipe on the side. This pipe is gray, so I'm just using the same shadow color. Removing the washi tape so we can go down the pipe. And we're using a very light value. We don't want to compete with the wall next to us, so we're using a lot of water not too much paint. And we're just going all the way down. Very simple. Nothing complicated here. We just want to enjoy this painting and have a good time. Any excess, you can always remove it with your napkin and correct any mistakes. In case you got out of your space, you can always wipe it off and go back to it. So now we're gonna do the tile on the roof. For this one, I'm using the sienna color, very light on the color. I would say 20% paint, 80% water. And I'm just doing my first layer. So we're just filling in the space, adding the sienna. We're gonna let this completely dry, and then we're gonna go back to the second layer. And for the second layer, we're gonna use the sienna, and we're gonna add a little bit of the Payne's Gray, just to make it a little bit darker than the first layer. And we're just gonna go and make small circles, and that's gonna give the idea that this is tile, like wavy tile. I'm applying the shadow from the tile. And remember, the shadow color is just ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. 50%, 50%, lots of water. Now we're putting the shadow in our tile. We're gonna make small circles. And then when this layer is completely dry, you're gonna make some diagonal lines, and it's gonna give the impression that it's single tiles. Then we're gonna add the shadow to the buildings. So this is the ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, very light value, lots of water, not too much paint. And the shadow, I had it from the second window all the way down, so that's what I'm applying. Very easy, don't press too hard because we don't want to be moving the colors underneath. We're just applying the shadow on top. So just go nice and easy. And we're gonna do the same on this part of the windows. And by applying the shadow to your buildings, it's gonna make them look more like 3D. They're gonna pop even more. So please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I would really appreciate it. Make sure you give it a like. I hope you learned something from this. And we're just finishing this painting, adding the shadow to this building. I'm using a flat brush because it's the easiest way to make your shadows more straight. So you can use any brush you have. Now I'm put some water on the background, and we're applying the cobalt blue, and this is gonna give us the color for the sky. Very light at first, and then you can add some more color to the top, and you're gonna blend the color all the way down. Remove your washi tape and continue applying the blue. I added some more blue to the top. Usually skies, the darker part are on top, the lighters are down. And we're gonna use a napkin because we want to have some clouds. So you kind of wrinkle your napkin and just press on the paper and move your hand sideways, so you're making nice beautiful clouds. Like you can see right now, they're looking really gorgeous. So for this painting, I saw this area was too white, so I'm just adding another building to my right. I'm using the same color. We have the yellow ochre with a little bit of red. Mix it together and you get this peachy color, and we're just applying some, like giving an idea that there is another building right next to this one. So we're gonna go all the way down. The bottom is gonna be in diagonal ways. It's not gonna be straight line because the building is kind of on the corner. We're gonna apply this all the way. And then we're gonna be adding some tile to the building. Remember, keep these lines diagonal. You don't want straight line there. And we're gonna be adding some salt to give some more texture. So what the salt does is gonna absorb some of the paint, and it's gonna give us this nice texture like an old building. After the salt dries, we're gonna remove the salt, and now I'm doing some splatter with a little bit of browns, the leftover browns that I had in my palette. We're just splattering some areas, not too much, just give it a touch. And we're gonna let this dry completely. I added the tile the same way we did in the other building. And just with the marker, we're making some windows on the door. And then we're gonna apply a little bit of the shadow to this door. And it's gonna be on the right hand side. All of the shadows, they have to be on the same position. So I decided my shadows are gonna be on the right, so this one should be on the right too. So now we're gonna add the bricks for the street, and we're just adding the gray color. I added more water because I don't want it to compete with the color on top of the building. So this is a lot of water, not too much paint. I would say 20% water, 20% paint, 80% water. So we're just applying this all over. And again, for some more texture, I'm gonna be dropping some salt, putting it all over this bottom area. We're gonna let it dry completely. Then we're gonna remove the salt, and with a small tiny brush, we're gonna make some circles and different shapes to make the tile look like it's tile on the floor, on the street. The smallest brush that you have. I'm using a number 0, but you can use any brush that you have. So applying the salt. And now we're going to our marks for the bricks. This is the same grade. It's just it looks darker, but it's the exact same grade that we applied before. It's just the first layer is already dried and we're putting this one on top. So after this, I decided to take a toothbrush and just do some more splatter on top. So this is it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and I see you on my next one. Bye bye friends. Take care.